Hi, welcome to the shed. Today I want to share with you some tips and tricks that I've learned about using Keynote to make animations. Now, why would you want to learn how to make animations? So you can use animations to put things on top of a talking head video like this. So I can be talking, I can have graphics come up, I can have words come up, and you could do that in a video editing program. But to make it rich and to make it reactive and maybe to make it do whatever you want to do creatively, it is helpful to have a separate program to do that. Now you could learn Adobe After Effects or you could use Apple Motion, but that takes a lot of time and that's also really expensive. So I've learned how to use Keynote to do most of my animations. Now I am not an animator. I am a music teacher, Scotty. So if you're an animator, you might know better ways to do this, but this is just the way that I've learned. So I'm going to show you all my tips and tricks on how to make an animation using Keynote. First things first, I want to turn on my rulers. So click on rulers or view and then show rulers. And you'll see right there, now I have a ruler that goes all the way around. So I can make guides, so you can pull down things. We'll use this later when we go to line things up. So anytime you click on an object in Keynote, all of the panels on the right change, and you can edit different attributes of that object. So you can do formatting, you can work on animations, and this is for the full document. Whenever I'm making an animation to be used for video, normally I have it in 16 by 9. 16 by 9 is like the regular aspect ratio of a computer monitor, so it'll fit on a video screen or something. So let's get rid of these words, go away words. So built into Keynote are some pretty cool shapes, and if you have a newer update of Keynote, you will have newer shapes. So let's pick a couple shapes. Education, we're learning, so let's pick some shapes that we can maybe edit. Books, book, we got a book. And we're doing a book about, it's kind of like a book about movie-ish stuff. I think that makes sense. So let me zoom back in here. Now all these objects are resizable and you can change the colors. So you can just grab a handle and change the color, but you click on a subject, click on an object, and then remember this panel is for all the objects. You can expand these by clicking on the little triangle there, expands it. So I like to use these this hex colors, these web safe colors. Another good thing if you want to match any color ever, this eyedropper tool right here. Click on the eyedropper, and then whatever it is over, it'll just grab that color. So if you want to match something to a website, you could just put the eyedropper over a color on a website and it just makes it easier. So let's use whatever that color is. It's 333. You know, that one, 333. So now this is 333. And we're gonna do some things to it. So let's say I want to change the color of this in some sort of animation. So I think animations are great if especially for remote learning. If you want to do a voiceover over an animation, you could just have this screen. You can have things do stuff. So let's say I want to change its color. If you click on the slide, so these are the slides over here, I can copy it, and to copy it I'm just going to press Command C, and now it has copied the slide. And then I could paste it, Command V, and now I have 2 of those slides. So anything that I do to the second slide, if I'm going to advance, if I'm going to go from slide to slide, anything I change to the second one is going to look like a single frame animation. So it's kind of like stop motion. So you can animate like this. This is how I first started to animate, so I can change the color. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to copy this slide and I'm going to change it. So now when I go to present this animation, I could just click next and then click next, and then what I'm doing is I'm changing the color, but again I'm just doing a one frame animation, and your frames are here. So you can get fairly complex with this by thinking about it as a frame by frame animation. Let me show you an example of something that I might do. So let's bring up some text here. So go away. I don't know why we have these books up still. I'm going to change the fonts. I dig Arial. I think Mac has kind of oversaturated us with Helvetica. So let's change it to Arial. And I'm going to just have a count off. We do a lot of count offs in music class. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's have a count off. I'm just going to put a count off. Oops, that's not how you start a count off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is all one object, but I like the spacing of this. I'm going to make it a little bigger. Big, 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 big. Now, there are some important things on this side here for text. So let's say I want to change the size of one of these. If I change the size, see, since it's set to center justify, it's going to move the whole thing over. But if I make it to left justify, it only moves the right thing over, which is kind of helpful. But in this case, I want to change the color of these things to kind of create a count off. Change the color, and I'll change the size. So remember, we're just doing, this is like the first step of frame by frame animation. But I like this spacing. So you can write it out like this, and you can just change the color. That would be really easy. So you start with, here's our frame of nothing, and then maybe I'll change this to a red, and then I'll copy my frame of nothing over, and then I'll change the number 2 to a red, and then I'll change number 3 to a red. This takes a lot of time. There are some of my animations that have hundreds of slides, which is cool, I guess. And then now if I went to press play from here, ready, here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we could have something, and you could time it with music, and I'll show you how to do that later. But maybe that doesn't pop enough for you. Then what I would do is I would create 4 separate objects. So let's create 4 separate objects to do our count off. So I have these. This is one object. I'm going to get rid of all the rest of this. I'm just going to, there we go. So now I'm going to copy paste and just going to randomly, it will kind of snap things in line, but sometimes it's not 100% accurate. So I'll show you how to align and distribute objects. So let's say it was kind of messy. It looked like that. It's not too straight. So if you highlight all your objects, and if you right click, and to right click for me, I'm just going to double tap on my touchpad. I can align objects. So let's say if one was, here, I'll just highlight one of them. Let's say one was a little too low, and I wanted to align it to the top of all of these. A right click, go to align to the top, and now everything is aligned to the top, which is nice. But they're uneven, so that's why we distribute. I'm going to distribute it evenly. Boop, and now it's even. There's an even distribution of space in between all these objects, and it kind of measures it from the first one to the last one. So now I have similar spacing to what I had before. I can now set up, I'm going to just make it easier. I'm going to copy it over. I know I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, so I just copied over our first slide over here a few times. So I'm going to take this first one in what is going to be our first frame. I'm going to make sure it's centered, because I'm going to make it larger. I'm going to make it larger. You can see how it centers it. And now I'm going to change the color to red. I go to the second one. I'm going to check out what the font size of this was. Font size 309. Perfect. My favorite font size. So I'm going to make this one 309. It's all about memorizing these things. It's not center justified. See what happened? That was weird. There we go. 309. That's beautiful. Make it red. Gotta check our center justified. 309. Make it red. 309. Make it red. That did not. That 309. You gotta press space. And you gotta make it red center justified. Oh my gosh. There's so many things wrong with this. 309. Now we're good. So now I've enriched it a little bit. If I press play, 1, 2, 3, 4, that pops out way more than it did before. But that's not a lot of animation. Now, this does have animation in it, and let's mess around with some animations. So I'm back to here. We have our 4 objects, and if I click on the first object, and I click on Animate at the top right-hand corner, it brings up all these effects. Now I have a built-in effect. A built-in effect will bring that object into the frame. So think about if you're making a PowerPoint slide, think about it if you were in like Windows 98 or something, you'd have something fly and it'd be like, whoosh. They got rid of all those sounds, thank goodness. But that's what build-in is. And build-out is it goes away. And there are a bunch of different effects that you can use to build in and build out. And some of them are pretty cool. I like trace. Traces. Whoa, trace is pretty cool. But we're not gonna build anything in. I'm going to do an action. Now an action is cool because the object can still be in the frame, but then you can have it do something. So I'm gonna have it pop, and you could change the you can change like some attributes. So you can change how long and how big it takes for it to pop, and then you can test it. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good one. The tricky thing is here, it's not changing color. So to do that, we have to kind of think outside the box a bit. So I'm going to copy this over. If you click on build order, it'll show all of your animations. So I'm going to look at the second one, and I am going to change the color of it. Whoa, no, format, change the color. We're going to make it red. And now if I go to animate and I click on build order down here, it's going to show me all of my different things. I only have one, but this is important. So I'm going to, instead of having it start on click, so what would happen is I would have to go from one slide to the next, and then I'd have to click again, because everything's going to eventually be timed with a click. But I want it to be done 0 seconds after the transition. So what's going to happen is I'm on this. I'm here, right? And now I press spacebar, and it changed color, and it popped. And that popping is a 30 frames per second animation that's built into Keynote. So I could do that. I could, animate the rest of this kind of like that. And let me do that really quick. So I had this guy. Just do some copying and pasting here. Paste. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll go back to our state of nothing. So what was our animation? It was this 140%. So I'll do 140% here. Action, pop, 140. Boop. And then we're going to change the color of the text to red. Okay, and then we'll check our build order, and we'll make sure that that is right after transition, 0 seconds. You don't want to time anything. Everything, if you're doing this method of animation, everything should be according to your click, because how I do it is I time things to music, and I just do a performance of myself clicking the space bar. So let me put in that build-in animation, pop, 140. Boop. Build order after transition. The best is when you find a mistake and you have to go back and edit like 60 slides of this stuff. It's best to go a little slower. And then we have our state here. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh. What did we not do? We did not set this to after transition. So that's another way to add in animations, and there's a lot of other animation things you could do. Let's say for that last one we wanted it to pop, or for how about all these, we want them to go away, but we want them to go away in like an interesting way. We could build out, so that means they're going to go away, and let's have them all fly out. And how about in random directions? All right, let's see what that looks like if we have them fly out in random directions. Whoa, they're flying out in random directions. This is way too slow, so I'm going to make it a little faster. I also don't like that they're flying out separately. So this is a good thing to know how to use the build order. So right now, these are all set to start on click, because you want on click. They're all set to start on click, but they're all separate. let's say I wanted them all to happen at the same time. So I'm going to highlight all of them. And I'm going to, down here, it says start on click. I want it to start with the previous build. So now you see how they all moved over. So now if I press preview here, you'll see all of them, pow! They're all going to go in different directions every time you do it. And that's helpful, and you can think about different creative ways you would want to implement that. Sorry, zoom back in here. So let's play our countdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah! And then they're all gone. Now let's say I wanted to, so I'm going to get rid of that cheese ball fly out. Let's say I wanted to have these become bigger in the next slide, which you can using something called Magic Move. So you can have objects have animations, but you can also animate between slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all these and I'm going to move them down. I'll move them down there, and then I'll make them bigger. So I highlighted them all, just going to make them bigger. And these are way too close now, so I'm going to do this. And let's say you wanted to manually line something up. Let's say you wanted to manually line these up. If you drag over from the ruler, you can drag down. And now this is a guide. And you can get really close into the guide, and you can move things over. And if you want to move an object by 1 point, oh my God, I'm so close. If you want to move an object by 1 point, you highlight the object, and then you use the arrow keys. So I'm going to move up once, and you can see it just moved it up 1 point. But all these are lined up. But this helps a lot if you're using objects that are not native to Keynote. So if you're using an object, an image, a PNG, a backgroundless image that you pulled off of the web, if you brought that into Keynote, you might have to move it over manually, and that's the way to do that. So if you look at here, so this is what the animation would look like if you were just to go frame by frame. Here's it frame by frame. Look at how smooth it is. It's not smooth at all. But using the power of Magic Move, we can make it smooth. So I highlighted the slide here, not an object. I highlighted the slide, and then I'm going to go to animate. I'm going to add in an effect. I'm going to add in Magic Move. You see what that did? Every object that is shared in the second slide, it moves it there. Instead of it being two just static frames, now I am moving. Pow. And I find that really, really helpful for me. So let's do a couple more move things, because there's some interesting move things. Let's say you wanted to control a movement. Let's say you wanted, let's say you were talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you wanted 4 to come over here. You wanted 4 to follow a specific path. So highlight 4. Ooh, I have an idea. Let's say you wanted 4 to do a specific path, but I'm going to gray this out. So I duplicated it. I'm going to make this gray. Make it that gray. You can do Magic Move too, and what Magic Move will do between these two is it will fade the object. So what it's going to do is it's going to change the gradation of that object to gray, which is pretty dope. And now I'm copying this object, and I'm not going to do that. I am going to highlight this object, and now I'm going to click on clicking on Animate Action. There you go. We're going to add an action. We're going to move it. So yeah, we can move it like that. But what I want to do is I want to move it to here. But I don't want to just move it in a line. I want to move it in like a curve. So to do that, I have no idea how to pronounce this. I don't know what it's called. But this is its motion. Like I could check it. So if I press preview, that's what it'll do. But I don't want it to do that. I want it to, change. So highlight this brazier point. That's the thing I don't know how to pronounce. Now, when I move it, it'll move like that. This is new. Align to the path. It's going to align the shape to the path. I don't know if you want it to look like that. You could have it look like that, and then we could add in a second action. Well, let's do that. Yeah, we're going to make it look like that. We're also going to make it bigger. So this is going to resize it. Whoa, it got bigger. And then when it gets there, we're going to add something new. Are you ready? We're going to add a new thing. We're going to add a new thing here. Add an action. You can add actions on top of actions. We're going to rotate it. Oh gosh, we're not going to rotate it there. We're going to rotate. Oh, it's so hard to look at. I want to rotate it so it's back to, no, not that way. I guess it can only rotate this way, so I'll have to go all the way around. Keep going. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I could have just clicked that. All right, so I want it to rotate till it's back to normal, which looks like, is that right? We can check it. Let's check it. Boop. That's close. That's not close. Somewhere, it's like 87.5 degrees. We'll just keep it. It's pretty decent. Now, if I go to my build order, this is where things get interesting. So if I preview this move, it's going to do that, and then it's going to rotate. But what if I wanted to do it at the same time, which will be interesting? I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to with build one. Whoa! That's kind of interesting. Or you can change it. We can do it after. It's like, oh boy, and now I'm back to normal. And you could, you could be as creative as you want with this. So now let me show you, like, if I wanted to, line something up with video or something. So I'm going to get rid of these two. These are useless. So I have my count off 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a magic move to bigger, and then this thing changed. It's totally random. So this is how I do it. I line everything up in time. So what I'm going to do is, normally I would have created some sort of audio. And you could just do this with, you can also line it up with a voiceover, but I find a tempo. So right now I'm at like 74 beats per minute. I'm just going to press this and I can hear the tempo. All right, so I'm going to perform it at 70. It's at 75 now. I'm going to perform this at 75. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to time when I press the space bar, depending on how I want my animation to be. I'm going to time when I press the space bar. And then that is going to be recorded. All that timing is going to be recorded. So to do that, you're going to go to play, record slideshow. Okay. It'll give you a countdown. Oh boy. Give you a countdown. All right. So now I know I want my count off to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to press the space bar in that order. Here we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay! And now let's look at these numbers. Do you see this number 4? Let's move them over here. And then we move them over there and it rotates. So cool. Now, it is going to, I got to turn my metronome off. It recorded all that. It also recorded the audio. So if you want to, you could totally just make an animation and record the audio on top of that. And you could be done. You could just export that video file, which is amazing. You just have to be careful about your keyboard. So maybe like put a blanket or something over your hands when you're going to advance from slide to slide, or just have your mic really close to your face. So you could just record a voiceover in real time while you're performing something, and that's an excellent way to, to show, because that's what we want. We want to show things clearly with these animations. But there are some options. So I can export that video. So to do that, File, Export to, Movie. Or you can make it a GIF. I love GIFs. You can make it a GIF and it'll just replay and everything, whatever. So here are the movies. So you want it to record the slideshow recording. Then it's recording the exact, timing that you inputted. It's also recording your audio too. And you can change the resolution. Let's do 1080 because why not? And let's do it. So we're gonna call this 1, 2, 3, 4 because 1, 2, 3, 4. So now create the movie. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool. So I could go into let's find 1, 2, 3, 4 first. Where is 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't know where 1, 2, 3, 4 is. I'm really bad at knowing where things are. I'm gonna look at the whole thing. Where's 1, 2, 3, 4? Lost 1, 2, 3, 4. Goodness. It went into Keynote. Where is the Keynote files? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, is it in here? I'll cut this out. There we go. Found it. I know. It was really cool. So we found it. I like to have that open because I'm just going to use, let's use something like iMovie, because this is another free thing. I use Premiere, but you can do all this stuff with iMovie. Yep, sure, continue. I have never used iMovie on this computer before. So I'm just going to drag it over. Now if I press play, it's going to have my audio over here. And then we move them over there and it rotates. So I don't necessarily want my audio. So I can right click, detach audio, and I can just kill it. It's gone. Now if I wanted to bring in music, something that I had, I could now line this up with music, which is pretty cool. And you can see right here, you can watch the animation. What I do is I wait until what I want to start. That's what I want to start. And then I kind of key it over. I use the arrow buttons because I can go over one frame at a time. So I'm using the arrow buttons and it's going over a frame at a time. And this is where I want the animation to start, right? This just gives me a reference point. Then I'll trim it to exactly where that is. And now that gives me reference points to where the audio is going to line up. And then later I can always just drag it out if I wanted more of this before the count off. I can just do that like that. So anyway, that's one use case. And then you can drag in audio if you've created it. Here's another thing. Another thing is you can, and this is so cool, you can export these videos without a background. So let me show you how to do that. You have to make sure that the background is transparent. So we have been editing each slide individually, but you can also edit what's called the master slide. So the master slide, these are attributes that edit the master slide. These are the attributes that are applied to each slide. It's the master slide. You can also put guides on the master slide, which is very helpful. You see these guides here. You can't see them because we have master guides turned off, but I'm just going to change my background. Instead of it being this color, I'm going to change it to no color. And now when I click done, all of these slides don't have color. What is the usefulness of this? Let me show you. So, File, Export, Export Movie, Slideshow Recording, Custom. You're going to want to go to Custom here. All right, so this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to change this. The actual resolution for 1080 is 1920 by 1080. You have to know that. And I'm going to change the compression type to Apple ProRes 422. Nope, Apple ProRes 444. Yeah, that's it. Let's keep it 30. You could do 60. It'll just be smoother looking, but I'll keep it 30. Export with transparent backgrounds. This is where it's at. Now, pro tip. If you're making a bunch of like files for something, for one project, try to do this. So I'm going to create a new folder, and this new folder is called Video on Keynote. So I'm actually going to start putting all of my elements inside of this one folder. That way I know where everything is. So this one would be called Backgroundless Animation 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to go in that one. So now it's going in there. Boop, doop, 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 doop. Okay. Movie has been created. Might be a good idea to put that 1, 2, 3, 4 in there. Okay. And I could move the key. This is a different one. That's a different one. So how can you use that? I mean, I can look at it. If I watch the video, it's going to be strange, kind of, because it's just like, all right, so now, yeah, okay, backgroundless. But this is where it's cool. So you're going to need a video of, I don't know, yourself. Okay. So let me try to find a video of myself. I have some videos here. They're just nonsensical. Hi-hat rolls. Good. This has nothing to do with anything. I'm just going to bring this in here. But it's a video of me. So I can scrub through this. You see me there. And let's say I wanted to put that animation on top of me. I could totally do it. It's not magic. You would go into, where we were here. Video in Keynote, backgroundless animation, and then you would put it on top. Now, holy cow, this is a longer video. But if you notice, this is right there. It's so cool. So I'm going to play this. I have no idea what I'm saying, but you could see, like, I'll make it big too.
I'm
I
gonna
have
press
a new
the space
technique that I'm
bar
working
in
on.
that
I want to
order.
build
Here we
ability
go. We have
headroom.
1,
I want
2,
my fingers
3,
to be
4.
able to do. We should probably detach the audio. Let's detach the audio. That's silly. All right, detach the audio. Boink, gone. Now let's watch it. Examples of what you can do with this. What I like to do when I have a new technique that I'm working on, I want to build ability headroom. I want my fingers to be able to do whatever I want when I want them to, and you do that by practicing all the different combinations. So what I would do is I would do our hi-hat roll workout videos. You could make videos that are incredible, content rich. You could add in music and stuff. And I think Keynote is an excellent, it's an excellent tool that you can use. Be as creative as you want. Feel free to reach out if you have other ideas on how to make this better. But I mean, basically you're making stop animation, again, unless you're using Keynote's built-in animation features, which are pretty good. So I hope this helps. We'll see you in the shed.